Today we're talking about two-step equations. So let's talk about a story first. If I wanted to get my husband a dog for Christmas or for his birthday, maybe, I'm going to place the dog in a box, okay? Then I'm going to close the box. Then I'm going to wrap the present and lastly put a bow on top. Now, since I don't want the dog in there too long, I'm going to immediately give it to Justin. So he's going to undo all of the steps that I just did. Meaning, first thing he's going to do is to take the bow off. Then he's going to unwrap the paper. Then he's going to open the box. And the last thing he's going to do is take the dog out of the box. And of course, be really super excited. So Justin just undid all of my work. That's what happens when you solve two-step equations. So let's look at some examples. This is what two-step equations look like. So what we need to do is we need to undo what we would have done with order of operations. Okay, so let's think about the first one. We know 2 times 3 gives us 6. And then when we add 3, that gives us 9. So the solution to this one has to be 3. But what if it's not that simple? So I first draw my streets because I want to make sure that I keep both sides balanced. Okay, the first step over here was to multiply. Then the second step was to add. So just like the present situation, I'm working backwards. So this was my first step, this was my second step, this was my third step, this was my fourth step. Now to undo the bow on top, I take the bow off. So I'm working backwards and I'm undoing whatever it was that I did here. So I'm undoing this addition of 3 first. I take 3 away from both sides and I get 2x equaling 6. The reason for this is because 3 and 9 are both integers, while 2x is a coefficient and variable. So the 3 and the 9 naturally can be combined. So now I have to undo multiplication, and to do that, I divide by 2. To divide by 2, I get x left on this side, which is exactly what I wanted to do when I isolated the variable, and x equals 3, and we know it works because we checked it right away in the beginning. Okay, so let's look at a couple more examples. So as always, I start with my streets. Okay, typically I would multiply before I would subtract in this problem. So instead, to undo it, I'm going to add 7 first. Again, combining my like terms. Getting rid of that -7 and leaving me with -2y on this side, and combining with the 3, I'm left with 10 on this side. So now I want to get this -2 away from the y, and since it's being multiplied, I divide. Y equals a -5 because 10 divided by -2 is -5. Number 3 is a little tricky. In this case, since I'm the teacher, I know the answer. It's 42 plus 2, which gives me 44. I would add those numbers first and then divide by 4 to give me 11. So the first step over here was to add and then divide. So now I want to undo this. How do I undo a division of 4? I'm going to multiply first. How do I undo addition? I'm going to subtract. So now that I know what to do, I'm going to multiply by 4 on both sides, which looks like this. So these are going away. A division of 4 and a multiplication of 4 are inverses. So I'm just left with x plus 2 equaling 44. I take 2 away from both sides, and I'm left with x equaling 42, as I said in the beginning. Okay? Now down here, we're back to normal order of operations, which is when I multiply before I would add something. So if I knew what x was, I would first multiply that by the 1/5. Then after multiplication, I would add the 4. So to undo this, I'm going to first subtract the 4 and then divide the 1/5. So I'm going to take 4 away from both sides, and I'm left with 1/5 x equaling -5. So now I divide by 1/5 on both sides. Okay, think back to division of fractions. Remember, you keep the initial one, you change from division to multiplication, and you flip the other one over. So our answer is going to be a -25. But you can also put this in your calculator. So you're going to take the negative button, which is not the subtraction button, and then hit 5, then your division button, and then the fraction button if you have the TI-34, which has the numerator over the denominator button, and you're going to type in 1/5 and hit enter, and it should still give you a -25. Don't forget, on all of these you can check your work. Okay, so let's see what you can do. I'm going to show you these. Oh, just kidding, number 4 was messed up, so make sure you didn't write that one down. Okay, so number 4, make sure you have that divide by 2, and that's not supposed to be a 5, it's a 6. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to try these. Pause the video now, and then when you're finished, grab your red pen, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did. All of my work steps will be provided, so make sure you look through them because I'm not going to explain each one in depth. If you need a re-explanation of one of these, go back and re-watch me doing these examples first. Okay, so here's what I did. Make sure you have your streets. If you don't want to use them, that's okay. But for me, I think it helps balance it a little bit more and makes you make sure that you keep everything that's on the left side on the left and everything that's on the right side on the right. So over here, you would first subtract 4, and then you would divide by 2. So your answer should have been 3. On number 2, your first step would be to take 8 away, which leaves a -10, then divide by -5. So S equals a +2. Over here, on number 3, you would add 2 first to both sides. And then you would have to divide by the 2/3, which is the same as keeping it as a 12, changing it to multiplication, and flipping that over and multiplying. So when I simplify, I'm left with W equaling 18. And lastly is the one that was the trickiest. Remember, this whole thing is being divided by 2, so we have to undo that division of 2 first through multiplication, and we're left with 4x plus 6 equaling 26. Then take 6 away from both sides, and you're left with 4x equaling 20. Then divide by 4, and you're left with x equaling 5. Okay, so now let's look at situations. The reason why this is a 2-step equation is because this balloon company is charging you $2 for every balloon and a $3 delivery fee. So $2 for every balloon and a $3 delivery fee, and I only have $9 to spend. So the first step would be to pay the delivery fee right off the bat, and then I know that I have 2 balloons, or $2 per balloon, and I only have $6 to spend on the actual balloons because I've taken the delivery fee away. So when I divide by 2, my balloons can equal 3. So if the delivery charge was only $1, then I would only have to take 1 away from this side. I don't know why that turned blue. And 2 balloons equaling $8 would allow me to buy 4 balloons. So that's why we need to know how to solve these equations. You would first pay the delivery fee so you know how much of the other stuff you can buy. So in this problem, Tanya has her birthday party at the movies. It costs $27 for pizza and $8.50 per friend for the movie tickets. She has $78 to spend. So she's going to spend $27 right off the bat for pizza and $8.50 for each friend to go to the movie. She has $78. So I'm going to pay for the pizza first, right? I'm going to undo this so I can figure out that I have a total of $51 left to spend. Remember, you can use your calculator, so I'm going to grab my calculator and divide 51 by 850, and I know each ticket that my friends are going to have is 6. Or excuse me, I know that I have 6 friends costing $8.50. So don't forget your label. Okay, I want you to try this one, and I'll be back in just a second to show you what I did. All right, grab your red pen. $39 per month. And then the text messages cost an additional 15 cents. So we wanted to know this month's total. So it was $39 and then 15 cents for each text message. So I'm going to put a T, actually let's use an M because a T could look like a plus sign. And my total was $55.05. So let's take away what the company charges me right off the bat, which is that $39. So I know that 15 cents per text message or per message is going to be a total of $16.05 that I can spend. My streets are a little abnormal here, sorry about that. So I'm going to divide what was left by the 15 cents, and I'm left with my messages equaling 107, or 107, not and 7, that would be 7/10. So 107 messages. All right, and that's all I have for you today. See you next time.